Hello, I am Lawrence Bechtel. I am an artist in residence at the Carilion Medical Center in Radford, Virginia. And I'm a sculptor. And it's possible that you were a patient in that hospital or a visitor and saw me trundling around the hallways with my kit of clay and tools. It's possible I may even have visited you in your room. And if that was the case, then no doubt I soon pulled out a piece of clay and a shaping tool and began making something for you, and we began to talk, and I liked that an awful lot. I'm sorry that we are not able to converse. Those activities, of course, were suspended because of the coronavirus. We are very grateful to the physicians and staff at all of our hospitals for battling this virus. In the meantime, with permission of the Keeley Healing Arts Program, what I will try to do in the interim is provide some online videos, a series of them, introducing you to clay, introducing you to some simple things that you can learn how to make. I'm sure probably many of us remember Play-Doh, or we might have had some silly putty, or we might have taken a ceramics class and thrown a pot and baked it in a kiln. And we may have had some experience too with modeling clay. What I use for my purposes as a sculptor, I use a type of modeling clay called plastilina. And plastilina is made of wax and oil. It cannot be baked. It does not get hard. It can be modeled and remodeled virtually indefinitely, over and over again. So what I would like to do is to introduce you to the use of plastilina. Now, I believe that the Keeley Healing Arts Program has provided you with packets of this clay, if you are so inclined, made by Jovi. There are many different companies that make this clay, and these are just small colored packets. So I have unwrapped one of these packets. As you see, I couldn't keep my hands off it and already started shaping it. But I'd like to introduce you to this clay first of all, and just give you a sense of the pleasure that is imparted in working with it. That's the main thing, the starting point, all right? So, having unwrapped your packet of plastilina, you can take it in your hands like this and get the feel of it. Now, it's good for your fingers, good for your hands. If your fingers are weak, just tease out a little bit that's thin. It'd be much easier with the tips of your fingers like that. And you may even want to take both your hands, okay? And use both hands to shape it, okay? And as you do that, you will find that the clay gets softer, and as it gets softer, it gets easier to manipulate. Now, it's extremely impressionable. You see that? There's lots of little shapes and fissures in it already. And our minds, it's so suggestive too. We begin to see all kinds of things in these indentations and the shapes of it. That's a wondrous thing about it, about our imaginations. It doesn't take us much, and we begin to elaborate on what we are seeing. All right. Now, as you are shaping this clay, there's a couple of things you can contemplate. One of them is that it is likely to return us to childhood. because so many of us are familiar with clay since childhood, and probably most of us just dropped it as we got older. It's a time now to return to those moments. It's also interesting to contemplate in the way we are pressed by life often, and we certainly feel pressed by our circumstances these days. With the clay, we can reverse that. So instead of ourselves being the clay, so to speak, being pressed, we can press the clay. All right? And we can, in a sense, take this clay and press into it our anxieties, our concerns, our prayers even. And what we are left with then, if we open our hand, is the impression of those pressures, those anxieties, those concerns, those prayers. And I'm not just being clever, because years ago I went through a divorce, and that is when I discovered plastilina, because I found in working with it that I was, in a sense, objectifying my angst. So it really works that way. All right. The third thing, the sense of touch. We see things at a distance, all right? We hear things that come from a distance. We smell things which may probably closer, but they are from a distance. With this, with the sense of touch, our fingers has to be directly in contact with our fingers. It's a very intimate sense of touch. And of course, we are deprived of that. We deliberately deprive ourselves of that these days. And it's so that this sense of touch becomes fraught with danger for us. But here, I'm giving you permission to indulge freely in that sense of touch. And to do that, get the maximum out of it, let's just go through a couple of exercises. So what we want to do is isolate and accentuate the sense of touch. So we can do that by closing our eyes, all right? So we close our eyes, and then we've got to shape the clay by touch only. I just want to make sure you can see what's going on there. All right? Use your fingertips very sensitively. Feel the surface of the clay, all the bumps and impressions. Now then, take this between your hands. See if you can make a ball. See if you can make a ball or a sphere that is just as round as you can get it. I'll stop for a moment. We'll see what we've got. Ooh, pretty bumpy there. All right. Nice little indentation still. It's a pretty sensuous kind of shape, even so. So I could do this again and again until I get it just as round as can be. So there's one. After that, see, do the same thing. Close your eyes. Turn that sphere into a cube, you know. So you're pressing it together like that. You're feeling real carefully. Your forefinger and thumb in particular are working in pairs. turn that into a cube. Well, that's a pretty lopsided looking cube, but there you have the idea. And if this is too much clay for you, if your fingers just tear off a little bit and use a smaller bit and turn it into a cube. All right. Then there's a third one you can do. You probably want a tray table if you have one by, or a table of any kind, but you can also use your hands. Turn it into a cylinder. And the idea is to get this cylinder of an even diameter from one end to another. All right? Not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. Now, what I would, if I was, I'm looking over the clay like that, stretch it out. See how far you can get it and keep it even. So, you've got a sphere, a cube, a cylinder. If you really want to muster up there, see if you can get a pyramidal shape, just with your touch only. With the first three in particular, the sphere, the cube, the cylinder, you can combine those in all those three shapes in a lot of different ways, make a lot of things, okay? So I think then in the next video, we'll make animals, an animal or a couple of animals, and I'll show you just about the manner of seeing those simple forms and arranging those simple forms to get that shape. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed our time together. I certainly have, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Enjoy the clay and have a bodacious day.